projects. After that, they're free to go and do as many as they want, and we don't know what they're doing. So we capture them because they have to submit their first project to us to enable them to qualify as a lean leader. Thereafter, they are lean leaders and they do their projects themselves, and they don't necessarily report back to us about what projects they're doing.
Okay.
So they're kind of free in doing stuff out there, lean type stuff out there.
How is information shared?
So we've got we actually have a website actually that's captured the lean projects. One of our NOD's projects is to update that website to be more generic, because at the moment it just looks at projects. But we want it to be more informative to the community of practice of leaders. So that's a project that's going on at the moment in OD.
Yeah.
I've got stuff in my inbox to approve for that.
How are lessons learned recorded and disseminated?
So we get people, the first project, we get people to fill in the project form, and that's on the form at the bottom it's got what the lessons learned, and we circulate them. Thereafter, we don't capture the projects, so we don't know, so we know the lessons that have been learned are.
How is feedback collected?
Again, through that first project. When the leader is being trained up in lean skills, that's when we work with them and we collect all of that stuff. Once they've qualified and they've got their certificate.
What kind of feedback is collected?
So it's feedback on basically what have they learned. Well, the questions actually. Those questions.
It's from video.
Yeah, that's a bit easy one. And the one, it was part of the way that the Lean for Leaders is structured. They get 2 days in the classroom, and in those 2 days they choose a project, and then they go out and they start work on their project, and then they're called back about 4 to 6 weeks later for another one day, and that is a kind of like a coaching session where it's how is it, how are you getting on, what have you done, what's the barriers, that kind of thing. And then so that's a day, and then they come back probably about 2 months after that, and that's when they deliver the outcome of their project.
Okay.
Then they get the certificate, and then we don't see them. Well, let's say we don't see them again, but we connect through emails.
Is there any sort of assessment of the impact on lean employee team member?
No, there's not.
Are there any other issues which you deem are important in this research that I may have missed?
I only think that I think the approach that we take here is different at Stirling, because you don't have a lean team, and that was an explicit decision made way back in 2011, I think, that the university wasn't going to create a lean team. I think that's been a good thing, but it does have its drawbacks. So if you compare and contrast Stirling and Strathclyde, it's two hugely different approaches, and you'll see that when you go into Strathclyde. Strathclyde has a whole floor of a building dedicated to lean. It's impressive. They've got the biggest lean team in a university in Scotland, and they do lots of stuff. They're going to be.
Is it the biggest in just Scotland or in the UK?
That's a question for John. I would ask John, because he's got 7 or 8 people. That's a big team. Nobody else in this.
I have met John, yeah.
Yeah.
At Manchester, we had a
wonderful
teamwork together.
Yeah. So it's a quick drop him an email. I'm not. It's definitely in Scotland. Whether it's in the rest of the UK, I'm not sure. Now he has his own challenges, because that's a lot of money to pay the salaries of all of those people. So John has to evidence the impact of his work, which he does, and he does well. But our challenge is different in that we don't have that centralised team of people. So the cons to the centralised team of people is ownership of the project. So all that stuff about engagement, about satisfaction, about control, about voice, it might not be as strong because you've got a team of people who will do it for you.
Yeah.
If you're forced to do it yourself, all of a sudden, and you've got people coming into the room, all of a sudden you've got to think, what am I doing? How am I going to do this? And how am I going to get people on board with it? So the buck stops with that person who is the leader.
Yeah.
In a way, perhaps it doesn't, because these guys will do it for you. So it's a very, very different approach.